All right, we are back. This is Creativity is the Cure. I'm your host, Malcolm Moore, and today I have Seth and Margareta Riggs. How are you guys?
We are good.
Yeah, very, very happy to still be clicking.
And thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And this is one of the few interviews where I actually get to be with the people where they live. So can you tell everybody where we are today? What part of Los Angeles are we in?
We're just below Hancock Park, which is below Hollywood, between downtown and the ocean. It's really in the center and above the airport.
And you're close to everything, which is very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say because I'm from upstate New York, it's not where you travel in LA, it's when you travel, right? Because where I'm from, something's 10 miles away, it's 10 minutes. Not always the case here, right? Especially on Friday night.
Oh no,
Yeah,
we never count miles, right? We always count in time, right?
Usually.
So you grew up in Sweden,
Yes.
correct? And what part?
I was born in a tiny place outside a small town called Varberg on the west coast of Sweden. And then as soon as I could, I moved to Stockholm, the capital. Actually, I moved via Malmö, which is the third biggest city. I was actually a natural scientist. I was a scientist major, but I really wanted to always be on stage. And I got an internship at the theater down there. And so I was there first. And then I went to Stockholm because if you live in Sweden, that's kind of where you need to live to
You've had a
perform.
place in Stockholm for how long?
So we have had it, yeah. So we have
3 years,
so
isn't it?
well, I've had a place in Stockholm ever since then, and then I've upgraded, and then the cat came, and then you came, and then Samantha came. So yes, we have gotten a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. Yes.
And Seth, where did you grow up?
In Rockville, Maryland, and it was quite a place, and I'm very much impressed, more or less now than I used to be, because one of the most wonderful restaurants we ever attended, that's one of the places that they chose to open. And I can't wait to get back to old Rockville and walk in and have whatever they're serving. I'm for it.
Margareta and Seth are known probably the most as vocal coaches. Would you agree with that? You guys are both very talented musicians and singers, and you do much more than that. But most people know you as vocal coaches. Would that be correct?
Especially Seth, yes. Yes, definitely.
Well, why don't we go back in time really quickly to how did you guys meet each other? It sounds like you came from very different backgrounds.
Well, actually, yes, we come from very different times. Because Seth was born in 1930, if I may say that, and I was born later than that. So it was very different.
We'll just say close to when I was born.
Right.
We'll leave it at that.
We did many of the same things: acting, singing, performing early on. So I wrote my own music. I've always been performing, and
Right.
I had been performing full time ever since before I ended school. So that's what I was doing. I sing and play the piano. I was singing and playing the piano, fancy places around Europe.
Right.
And but I wanted to come here and record my music.
Right.
And
You also played guitar.
I played guitar too, yes. But
An open case on the street.
I did when I was like 13, 14, 15. Anyway, I was a client, actually. I played in Gothenburg, Sweden, and Frank Sinatra came to perform next door.
Wow.
And
Around what year would this be?
1993, maybe?
Amazing.
I mean, I went to New York for acting school, and because I played all these fancy places, I actually knew the promoter in Sweden. So I actually had VIP tickets at Madison Square Garden that I went to get from the management at Waldorf Astoria, and it was very, very.
Very posh.
For me, it was wow. And I had this fancy seat, and I got to meet Frank Sinatra and shake his hand. And Barbara Sinatra asked me if I knew where the ladies' room was, and
Sounds very surreal.
it was just very special. And I was very young. And this was probably 2 years later in Gothenburg. I was playing, and after the show, the whole band came in and sat around the piano. So then they asked for, for songs. And then the drummer, Greg Field, was Sinatra's drummer. He asked if I wrote my own music. And I said, sure. And I did a few of my songs, and they were so great. These musicians were so great. And Greg was saying to me, you got to come to LA and we'll record.
Wow.
And being Swedish, where we always mean exactly what we say, I packed my bag and I went and I said, here I am.
She even sold her car to get the money to come over.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, yes, I did. And he was super because, how I don't know how much it meant that we were going to do that, but yes, he did it. But he also had a lot of other projects. So I tagged along for several months to all his other projects, including he was a producer of the Christmas song with a trumpet player. But Mel Torme was there. It was the four of us in this little studio in the valley somewhere. And Mel Torme was singing on his own song with this trumpet player.
Love Mel Torme. My wife and I both love his music.
Oh, yeah.
It was it was super special. And Greg and I recorded these couple of songs of mine. And of course, I didn't have a work permit at that time. So I always worked in Sweden. I always went back and I came back here.
Right.
So I went back. And then I came back to record a few more songs with two other producers that I'd gotten to know through Greg, actually. And I felt like, there was so much time spent on, the hi-hat sound or the this and or the that.
Yeah.
And then then in the end they go, okay, your turn to sing. And that was supposed to just be done. And I was performing live and I was used to having audiences, really hang on to everything I did.
Right.
So for me, I felt like,
The studio is very different.
Very different.
Right.
It was very different. And they didn't know how to, they just, just open up. That's not how you do it. But anyway, at the time I didn't know. I was like, I want some help here. Who do I go to? And everybody I asked said, you got to go to Seth Riggs. So I called up Seth Riggs.
Seth.
And here is the thing. I remember this now. I called you, Seth. I called you from Sweden. And I was so nervous to call. And then you actually answered the phone, which I had not expected. And I was so nervous to talk to you. Oh, my God, that's so funny. I just remember that when you asked me. Anyway, I was on my way here, and I booked a few sessions at the studio. And this is mid-90s, so it goes back a while. We didn't become a couple until 10 years later.
And what's your perspective?
The very same thing. I thought, gee, this is the kind of person I've always wanted to get hooked up to. And I don't know where she is or, I wasn't aware, but I thought, boy, this is it. And it has been.
Wow. And you guys have been together?
So we became a couple in 2008.
Wow. And you have an incredible daughter that I know, Samantha.
Yes.
She's a pretty good singer, too.
She's amazing.
I just saw that.
Depends what mood she's in.
She's always amazing, but she doesn't always sing. She sings all the time, but not always with us.
Yeah, in fact, I met you. I was thinking about it when I was driving here today. I do this Larchmont Spring Block Party, which is in Hollywood in a little town called Larchmont. And I always bring kids together to perform. And I remember you came up last minute and I had a really tight set. And you're like, hi, I'm Margareta. Can my daughter and I sing a song? And I'm like, okay. And then
you had no idea what it was going to be.
You guys were amazing. And then I would just kept running into you.
Yeah. We actually did run into each other both here and there. We ran into each other in a grocery store.
Yes.
And we ran into each other at a gig somewhere.
Yep. And then recently around Halloween.
And another, yes. Okay. It's meant to be.
It is meant to be. So I would, with both of you, like to go back in time and ask each of you, what is your first creative memory? Let's start with you, Margareta. When was the first time when you realized you were creative?
I don't know that I would have thought about it in those terms, though.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was really little, like a baby, my mother, who was wonderful, she actually used to talk to me by singing. And
Incredible.
so I grew up as very little to sing rather than talk. When we,
It's like you lived in a musical.
well, I mean, I don't, because I actually did do that to Samantha to some extent when she was a baby.
Yeah.
You kind of sang what you wanted to say, and then
What a wonderful way to grow up.
And then so to me, to make a song is sort of just like you just do it.
Remember what you put, the little things that you put in her bed, did very quietly. That it played all night while she slept.
Yeah, but when it comes to creativity, yeah, it would be like
It was inherent in you. It just came out between you and your mom, right?
Yeah.
That's really incredible. I've never heard that before. What about you, Seth? When was the first time you realized that you were a creative?
Well, I didn't really realize, but I know I enjoyed singing, and I was always singing at 6. And my father, when I sang, used to cry, and I thought, I couldn't quite figure that out. My mother sang a little bit.
Yeah.
So I decided I got to go somewhere where I'm not criticized. So there was a forsythia bush out in the front yard. If you're familiar with that, where it grows, and well, it blooms at the top, then it gives like a room under it because it's empty.
Yeah.
So I figured the only way I can do this is I'll go and I'll sing in this. So we were the only people on the street that had a musical forsythia bush.
Wow.
So I sang things then, and then when I got to be 9, I auditioned for the National Cathedral Choir in Washington, D.C., and that was really terrific, but it was very difficult for me because I had to come in from Rockville.
Right.
And that was quite a distance, and eventually it got to be too much for me to make it, because they took us out and had us learn some music and then back into school, St. Albans, and it was not easy, so eventually I had to quit that. Wow. But then I went off in... I took a few lessons in Washington, D.C., and it didn't necessarily work out too well. But I auditioned for Mrs. Cornelius Vanderbilt Whitney, and she gave me a scholarship. And the next person in line that came in second became Shirley MacLaine.
I'm discovering from both of you, you were both born intuitive singers. It was just naturally a part of both of you. So it's not surprising that you ended up together, right? It's almost like breathing for both of you, it seems like.
Yeah.
Expression, breathing, life.
I would say, yeah. The lady that had charge in the county of all the schools, she took me everywhere and had me sing in all the different areas of thing. Yeah, her name was Lucille Johnson. I'll never forget her.
Wow.
She's the one that started. So I sang everywhere, excepting the last place. The last place, they had a new person to play piano, and they were terrible, just awful. So I decided I can't take this. I'm not going to sing. What can I do? So I thought, I'll go to the broom closet there, and it was in the, and I went and I stood in it till the whole thing. And the lady that was teaching, came back. She took one look at you, fell over. They sent me home. So that's what happened to that.
Well, since you went all the way through high school, I just want to add then.
Of course.
So my first memory where I knew what I wanted to do was when ABBA won the Eurovision Song Contest, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of like, and my first like my first really strong memory. And then I had a friend there who was probably not as interested in me as me, but I made her be one of the other. There are 2 girls, 2 guys, and 2 women in the group, and I was always Agneta, and she had to be Annefrid, and we had the clothes, and we had the jumping rope, and we would sing all the songs. And of course I didn't know English because I was very young. And we spoke Swedish, so I had no idea. And singing and playing the piano in all these places as a grown-up, as a professional, I would just go into sort of, I guess muscle memory mode. Mm-hmm. You just sing these songs, and all of a sudden you go, oh my God, I had no idea that the lyrics were these words, because I'd always sung them.
You were singing them phonetically.
And I didn't know what I was singing.
The next question for both of you, when you were growing up, were your parents creative, and do you think their creative identity was passed on to you at all genetically? Do you ever find yourself going, oh, I got that from my mom, I got that from my dad? You did both tell us a little bit about growing up with your parents, but tell me about each of your parents and if and how they were creative.
Well, my mother was very creative, and she was also very positive. There was never anything that she was always, things could be done. Yeah. And also my parents grew up, it was very poor. Sweden was very poor at that time.
You said, though, that your mother said things could always be done. So it was creativity part of a survival mechanism?
Yes, because my father was born in 1925 and my mother was born in 1931. So it was before the war, and they lived through the war. Sweden was not in the war, but Sweden was very poor.
Right.
So they lived off of hunting and fishing and they had to make everything. So my mother she sewed my clothes. We made, paintings. We would go to the woods and collect fall leaves and
press them in books.
Press them, yes, yeah, press them and put them on boards, and that was our art. And we
Amazing.
She was a nurse, so she was the youngest of her siblings, and she was the only one to go to to go to school and get an education. But she played. Everybody played the accordion. Everybody played. Yes, because
she still had them.
I still have them. Nobody had a television. Obviously, before television, right? So even my father. My father he had a very good ear. He could play every melody with the right hand because we had a piano at home. And he accompanied every melody with a C chord. So you can just imagine that didn't always work out, but he happily did it. And my mother played guitar and accordion and piano, and she sang, and she loved it all. And she would bring that to patients. So and she used to say that the piano was her best friend. Though she had friends, she always used to say that throughout her life, the piano was her best friend, and she loved it. And so you mentioned that I sang in the street. So when I was maybe 12 or something, mm-hmm. And my school, we were going to gather money to have a little trip, and people did different things, bake something, whatever. And my mother said, "Don't you want to sing and play in the marketplace?" And nobody had ever done that. It's way before street singers. Yeah. And so I did. Yeah. And
What about your father? Creative?
My father, no. Yes, I think that would be unfair to say he wasn't creative. But he used to drive one of those Caterpillar he used to clear the roads from snow, and he used to make roads. And so he had started working when he was, 14 or something. So, a real job, music was not a real job in his.
But maybe you got your work ethic from your dad, because you seem to be a very focused hard worker.
Yeah, both of my parents were hard workers. But he also made everything, because they came from the same era. He would make they would grow everything in the garden. Right. He would make furniture. They built our house. Wow. He built our house. To this day, there are certain things I don't know that you can actually buy because we have never bought them. And then I go, oh, and it's very strange. Like I'm super bad at buying clothes because my mother used to always make them.
Make them, yeah.
And I mean, everything.
Sounds like you had a creative collective family. Right?
I don't think that we thought of it as being creative. It's just survival. They made everything, actually.
What about you, Seth? Your parents, were they creative in any way?
No, but the family next door had a young fellow who, that's how I wound up at the National Cathedral Choir, because he was always playing the piano and singing.
Yeah.
So my next door neighbor was the one that got me started. And,
what did your parents do, though? Your mom and dad, what did they do for a living?
Well, I was born in the Depression, and just like Margareta said, when the stamps had to go for meat or everything with the men who were fighting out there. So I would get together. I had my first rifle at 9 and first shotgun at 11. And she'd say, "Oh, we ran out of those things. Go and see what you can find for dinner." And so I'd go out with that, you know.
You're a hunter-gatherer.
Yes. And
can you imagine how far we've gotten from that now? Here's a gun. Now you have to go out and get some food. That's like nobody is going to know how to do that.
I would surmise that both of you, because your upbringing, don't take anything for granted.
Well, you know, there was a theater called the Olney Summer Theater. And so a show came through from New York. And I'm trying to think of the name of it. And
It was Pal Joey, was it?
Pal, that's right. It was Pal. Very good.
Because we went to the Olney Theater.
The Olney Theater.
We went to the Olney Theater to actually look up old playbills, and
it was terrific because I sang, and the fellow playing the part of Joey was Bob Fosse, and so I sang. The first thing I ever did was to walk out on stage and sing this gay part. In the flower of my heart, I'm smelling the thing. And I got the reviews from Mr. Cody in the Washington National Post or whatever. And he said, "You little snook." He said, you know, they
Bob Fosse
and then
said
finally he said, "I'm just kissing. When you come to New York, you be sure to get in touch with me and I'll see what I can do." And eventually when I got to New York, he did. And I was a member of two professional unions before I graduated from high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Bob Fosse, like some other people that Seth has worked with when he was performing, are people, you know, that's people that I learned about in, you know, acting school as, you know, basically that's history. So when Seth talks about having worked with Ethel Merman or having auditioned for Oscar Hammerstein and
Rogers and Hammerstein.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked with Sandy Meisner as an acting student. And I did Meisner technique, but that's a very different thing.
Yeah.
To actually have worked with the actual people. I find that
That's right.
I find that fascinating.
Wow, that's spectacular. So here's a question for both of you. Do you think creativity could be implemented in curing people or helping people with mental health struggles like depression and anxiety? Now, let's take into account what you guys do for a living. You help coach people. Have you seen in your life yourselves or the artists you work with benefit from their creativity if they may be suffering from depression or anxiety? Because everybody, doesn't matter how famous you are and how amazingly talented, everybody has stuff in their head that might not agree with.
We work with autistic people.
You do?
Which is absolutely unbelievable. She even worked with deaf people.
Wow.
I figured that one
But
out. I never could.
But, well, we have, actually. We had a girl in England who wanted to sing, and she was deaf. But...
and did she learn by vibrations?
Yes, and we said we don't know if we can help you, but we're absolutely willing
Give it
to
a
try.
shot.
So Samantha, our daughter, she plays violin also, and her violin teacher was talking about playing she had a different student who learned intonation with a tuner, basically, because she was complimenting Samantha. She was saying to Samantha, "You're like one out of everybody. Your ears are so good. That's not the case for everybody." And then she told me about a student that learned by a tuner.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
So I suggested this to this girl. But I think that's not really what you're talking about. You're talking about
No, that's
somebody
interesting.
who's...
Well, let's take somebody like Stevie Wonder, who's my favorite singer. When I was a child, the first album I bought was Songs in the Key of Life. By the way, for my younger listeners, that was on vinyl.
Yeah.
There were so many songs. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was 2 records, and they still couldn't fit everything. So there's 2 45s snuck in there. But anyway, I bring up Songs of the Key of Life and Stevie because some of his songs are so sad.
Yeah.
And some are so happy. And some are silly. And so I bring him up saying, have you seen and teaching all the different people you've taught, whether it's the autistic girl or somebody that's a famous singer, have you seen their creativity helping them in the challenges of their life? Or has it helped you? Could be an escape. It could be cathartic. Many people say that when they write a song, it helps them figure out the stuff in their brain.
I think being creative is the way us humans feel the most fulfilled, because we get to express ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we are authentic and dare to go with it, whether it is in our own room where nobody can hear us, or if it's sharing, being able to express yourself, I think is very important. And 2 completely different settings come to mind. I do want to say about my mother, she said that the piano was her best friend. Obviously, it was through difficult times as well as happy times. Seth and I have been to Indonesia actually every year up until the pandemic. Obviously, that kind of cut that. But we were in Indonesia. In Bali and in Jakarta. And did workshops, master classes. And for the first time we were asked, we had never been and we didn't know what to expect. But what happened was that they closed down a resort. We came and they had about 15 Indonesian and from Malaysia also, like superstars. We didn't know who they were, but they were amazing talents, super people, super talents.
They were.
And they were sort of sitting, this was like a ballroom in a hotel for a week or 4 days, and then we did a day in Jakarta.
They had the 3rd or 4th floor, a whole concert hall with everything.
In Jakarta,
That's how much money they had.
But in Bali, this is what I wanted to come to too. So imagine that these are people who are well known, and Indonesia is a very populated country. There are lots of people there.
Yes.
So Seth and I are on stage, and they hang on to every word we say, and they were fantastic people, and we don't know who they are. And I have a list of names, and so to get people, so we teach vocal technique, but we teach the whole package. We go through the performance to get out of the artist to be the best, to get to be the best artist they can be. Now, keep in mind, these are people who have really made it. They are big artists.
They're already successful.
Right. So, and here I go down the list, and I call they're a little giggling. So who is Afghan? And I can hear it's a little giggle because everybody in all of Indonesia knows who Afghan is, but I don't know out of the 15 people. And anyway, so what I wanted to come to, so we teach vocal technique, but then we have song. They had a song they had chosen, each person. And of course, there are words. And what are those? What does those words mean? And, we have them work. I had like Afghan in this instance, and maybe Dira, who both big artists, but they may not have ever exposed. I ask them, how come you choose this song? What is this line? And then actually starting to probe a little bit. But you have to be very you have to do with love and care.
Sensitive.
So you dig deeper in so that the person start talking. They may not even have known why they chose the song, but a line in a song start meaning something, and then maybe I say, how about if this might be your mother you're singing to, or maybe this is
context,
or if it's a younger person, it might be the dog, but it means it might be something that is very emotional to that person, and then that person has to sing into the eyes of the other person. I'll tell you. And the ages really ranged in all of our workshops. We like to have a big range when it comes to age.
Very, very often, the people, the whole class, would be in a group crying.
Crying, yes. And eventually they cry because it gets to be so cathartic. And we read these, to this day, there are WhatsApp groups that they stay together, or we stay together. But they talk about how life-changing it has been because they have talked about something that they may not have talked about ever. Maybe they have never even realized it.
Yeah.
We had one big artist from Malaysia, and on stage, all of a sudden, he started sobbing. And I mean, this is very personal, so we shouldn't, it's not about who were there, but it was a relationship with his father and very well-known Western names in there with that also had, probably never, maybe not dug in as far, but also never exposed it or shared it or been able to share it because of who they were.
So you don't have to say anybody specific, but it sounds to me like what you're saying is, let's say there's a very well-known singer, no matter where they are from in the world, and they're very prolific. Let's think of somebody like Prince that just composed so much music that we're still starting to hear it now. I think that when they compose this stuff and they have such a high output, they might forget about where they were when they wrote the song. They might be singing every night, not really thinking about it, kind of going through the motions. But it sounds like you helped them grab a line that brought them back, and maybe they remember or they realize things they didn't before. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well,
right. I mean, yeah.
Prince called me one time and he said, "I need you right away." I said, he said, "Walk out of the studio and leave your person that sets thing up for you there to answer this right away." I thought, "Oh my God, what is it?" And so I left, and I had to go shopping. I didn't even have a jacket or anything, and it was colder than hell out there.
Because you had to go to the airport and get on a plane.
Right, and go right away.
Minnesota, right.
Go right away.
Yeah.
And eventually, I went in. He wanted to shift it to falsetto. And so he would not go through his mixed, but his backups did. And so I worked with them, and it was a very, very successful situation. And it lasted until he was died.
Now, I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm a huge Prince fan, and I'm not anywhere near you guys as talented at singing. But I really adored all of his work and his falsetto voice. You've seen this before. A lot of people can do it in the studio, but then live they really struggle and they pull the mic away or they have background singers. But his falsetto seemed to be as strong as his other ranges.
Well, it was. And then people, like I worked with Ray Charles.
Right.
And somebody brought him over from his studio and walked him up the stairs, came in, and I said, "What do you think your problem is, Mr. Charles?" He said, "I've lost my falsetto." I said, "That doesn't sound to me like you've lost your falsetto."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, just a moment." So I took him by the hand, pulled him over to he sat down at the piano, and I stood by his shoulder. I said, "Now do Georgia for me." So he starts out, he goes, "Georgia!" I said, "Woo, woo, woo, woo." I said, "Just say it."
Yeah.
So he says, "Georgia?" I said, "Oh, you said Georgia, didn't you?" And now, that's where your falsetto is. Now, we don't teach going into falsetto. We don't do that with Frankie Valli. We didn't, And so I said,
We teach mix. We do not ever go. The goal is to have one even voice from the bottom to the top.
Right.
And you do
That's
that.
fascinating.
And then you do that in mix, not by flipping into a disconnected head voice, which is falsetto.
Well, can I just add this in? I was also a big David Bowie fan, and I remember reading that he had different voices he would use. He had like the Ziggy voice. He had the crooner voice when he was singing more like Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
He had a very high voice, and it would strain his voice to go back and forth. And so he would often make the set list. All right, these songs in this range we will keep here. Then we'll do these. Then we'll do these. So you're saying you don't have to do that if you find the one voice where you can go from here to here.
absolutely.
Really?
And George, and I missed, I said, I will do this again. It's not George.
It's Ray Charles.
Georgia. So I said to Charles, I said, you flip there in your, we don't teach this, but this is the way to do that. So I said, Georgia. Oh, there it is. I said, but it'll always be there on that particular song the way you want to do it.
Why do you think he thought he lost it?
Well, because he went, Georgia.
Oh,
And I said, it's not Georgia, it's Georgia.
he changed the inflection of the song.
Yes, and not only
threw it
that,
off.
but see, every time you bridge, there is no such thing as in
I want
good
to ask you,
singing.
I see that in a lot of the interviews with you guys. What do you mean by bridging? I've never
Well,
heard
in
of
other words, you use where you say that lowers the larynx. And so he came in one time, and I said, Mr. Charles, how are you doing? He said, oh, this is working very well. And so he says, but I'm on my way to Moscow, and he said, I've got to take off my shoes. They can see that I can't see. Makes me so mad. He says, I got to find a way to get by. Next time I saw him, I said, did you get through the problem you had? He says, yeah, I bought my own jet.
He paid his dues. He deserved his own jet.
Yeah, it's a good
He's
way of
probably
solving the problem.
singing about a different Georgia in Russia.
That would be a different Georgia. Yes.
Yeah.
To get to that question, everybody has. You can call it a crack. Some people say, "Oh, I can't sing that high,"
Yeah.
because they only go to a certain note.
Right.
So everybody has bridges at the same place. For guys, for men, the first bridge is E, F, F sharp, and G, and and then the second bridge and the first bridge for women is here: A, B flat, B, and C. So when somebody gets nodules on their vocal cords, for instance, if they bring up their chest voice past their bridge, and then it's
that
too
makes
heavy, it gets too heavy, and they can go
By the
flat.
way, Seth is giving the thumbs down. Go on.
And
it's terrible.
and that's what we train, right? So some people, everybody says, I'm doing my warm-ups. It's not warm-ups. We are not warming up the voice. We're balancing the voice between chest voice and head voice so that you can then sing in a mix. There's more to it, but what you want to be able to do is to go all the way through, like doobie 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 doobie. Now, if you
All right,
didn't,
I quit. I'm never going to sing.
right? So if you're here and you sing in chest voice only, doobie doobie do, you can just hear that's never going to work. And we have heard people sing flat even at the Grammys a few years ago when Adele sang, and she was only in chest, and she tries to hit the C sharp in chest voice. It's gonna either crack or it's gonna go flat. And there's
Remind
no
me, I want to
other
come
way.
watch an awards show with you guys and see you just lose your mind and pull your hair
But
out.
now people use, I don't say that she does, but I think it's great that she sings live, because
yeah.
now people don't even dare to sing live anymore, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Because they should. And the people who can't sing live, should they really have this profession?
Yeah.
It's because it's, it's not only messing them up, it messes everybody else up who tries to sound like them, because it's actually not true.
And we were talking about this when I came in. The world is so concerned about auto-correcting everything. I remember I often teach my students about Stevie Wonder, and I always play this clip of him singing, I think it's Superstition in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who he is. First of all, that shocks me.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, I always hear this, oh, auto-tune. And I go, that is it. And I stop the video and I go, when I grew up, you had to be able to sing, or that was it. I said, I'm a drummer. If there's a tambourine part, you play it through the whole song. You don't loop it after one measure.
Right.
And so let me ask you this. So let's look at two singers. I'm thinking of Bono from U2. Great voice, but I remember in the 90s started singing with the falsetto, and he'd go back and forth. But then I think of Sting, who a lot of people say it's not even falsetto. He really just can sing that high. And it sounds to me like Sting does what you guys teach. It just somehow goes straight up into the stratosphere, into his trumpet zone that I call it.
Yeah.
But we have to listen to it live to determine. I heard a podcast clip that somebody was talking about Brian Wilson, who we work with.
Yes.
All the way up until unfortunately he passed away this year. And we miss him so much.
Big loss. Yeah, and I know you guys were close with him.
And Seth worked with him for decades before, but Melinda, his wife, called, when could it have been? 2018, 19, something, 19 maybe.
Yeah.
And
I always think of Brian always singing in falsetto.
So he never sings in falsetto. That's the point. This person in the podcast was talking about, oh, Brian's falsetto. But it's the fact that they don't understand, right? They don't understand
how the voice works.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting because going back, way back in time when before I went to Seth and I lived in Sweden,
right,
and nobody knew, I didn't understand the quality of a singer who sings in mix and what it sounds like when you don't sing in mix. Used to be before this era when things are so much fake, so things are
That's
different.
A good way to put it.
But before, when you needed to be a great singer to have a record deal and all of that, there was either the right sound, which was the mix, or not. Yeah. And if you didn't have it, I could say, but look, I fill this whole room and everybody's just like, they love it, but was that the sound of the mix? Because the people who made it were the people who that's why Seth's clients have
mix.
Mix is the way of singing when you sing like we teach.
Oh, right.
But most people don't know how to teach it, even though they say that they are teachers, and most people don't know what that is.
Right,
so if they don't know that it's there, how could they possibly search for it or look for it or learn it, because they didn't even know that it was there? Like when I
love what you guys teach, because it makes me feel very hopeful, not only for myself, but so many kids that I work with that think, oh, I can't sing this, I can't do that range. It sounds very hopeful and positive. It sounds like it must be wonderful for you to reveal that to all the people you work with.
Well, you could do with very simple things when you say, they do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that gets them over higher than they usually can get.
Yeah.
And good, dear.
I always wondered why people did that, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Seth was the one. That's, it comes full circle. Sometimes we end up in some place where somebody's going to warm people up, and they do that. And I'm like, they do it wrong, right? You can do things wrong.
Right.
You think you do it right, but you do it wrong. And I mean, it would be fair to say, Seth, right? That nobody would be doing that if Seth hadn't started that a long, long time ago, right? So when people do it wrong, it's, if you don't sing in mix, it doesn't matter what exercises you do.
Right.
Because you're not going to get there if you don't.
Well, let me ask a big question now that you've explained this to me. I have heard, and it seems to me that when people get older, the voices change. They drop a little lower. Is that true? Or is that because they haven't trained their voice correctly?
Well, okay, so here we come back to the same problem, right? Most people don't know that they aren't singing correctly because, first of all, either they weren't trained correctly in the first place, even though they might think they were
Right.
or were told they were. And it has maybe worked for a long time. The other part would be because something can work for a long time because you muscle your way up.
Right.
And then eventually you can't muscle your way up. Like the person who did we talk about, who was bringing down the falsetto, eventually that person is not going to have E flat, E, F, is going to be gone after a while because you bring down, falsetto is disconnected head voice. You bring it in the area for chest, that's going to be gone. That's going to be whole. You're not going to be able to sing Happy Birthday in the end. I mean, it's true. And that's why, that's why people retire. They just stop singing because they say, oh, my voice is gone because of my age. No, that's not that. It's not that. It's because because they don't sing correctly.
Right. Right. And I've also heard, tell me if this is a rumor or true, that a lot of recording artists I like, they record parts of their albums or their songs in the morning that are in the lower register because it's easier. Is there a reason why people would feel that way?
Before the voice starts to fatigue as soon as it starts to sing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or they'll have one of their backups sing the high note.
But I mean, it's also true that if have you ever been sick for, like, you have a cold for a week and you're quiet and you're all of a sudden you can sing. I've only had we managed to not get COVID, which was fantastic. And then Samantha started a regular school, and of course everybody got COVID. Oh my God!
Yeah, she's the contagion.
So at the tail end of that, my God, I could sing down here.
Yeah. And were you like, quickly, let's record something?
Yes, I did. I'm like, oh my God, I can sing way, way, way down here. But
what about people that sing like Louis Armstrong or Tom Waits that have a very, Cookie Monster type of voice? What are your thoughts on that?
That's probably because they're singing with nodules.
Oh.
And so they get enough and they really so they do that. Well, you don't want that,
Our experience in Indonesia with any song, like a song, we can pick one of your favorite songs. I can pick something that somebody has been doing here. Any song. Do you have a song?
Joy Inside My Tears by Stevie Wonder.
Okay. I've always come to the conclusion that but is the way of asking for permission to lay something heavy on one's head. So I have tried to not be the one who'll fall into that line, but what I feel inside, I think you should know. And maybe that's you made life's history, because you've brought some joy inside my tears, and you have done what no one thought could be. You've brought some joy inside my tears. I've always felt that tomorrow is for those who are too much afraid to go past yesterday and start living for today. I feel that lasting moments are coming far and few between, so I should tell you of the happiness that you bring. Baby, it's you made life's history. You brought some joy inside my tears, baby. Okay. If somebody had brought this song, maybe I would then just go to the line, because you brought some joy inside my tears. What's your tears?
Sadness.
But why are you crying?
Maybe loss or disappointment.
So right now you're talking in generals, and I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Now, if I have a singer on stage, or if you were to go along with this, you would then actually tell me, because I wouldn't stop until you said, this happened.
Right.
Not this, but an actual event that brought you to the tears.
Right.
And I wouldn't stop unless I felt that I couldn't go there, that it would, it's so much about feeling the person to know if this is okay or not, because you don't want to make somebody hurt.
You're trying to get to the core.
Yes. So the person eventually will say, whatever it is, I feel whatever, or this happened, this this, it could be anything that somebody is having a trauma about, right? And so when that line comes out, everybody else in that room is going to feel with that person,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
And then you take very gentle steps in what happened, what was said. Who is this person who's now bringing joy?
Right.
Is that person in your life? Maybe that person isn't there. Maybe I put a person in front of the person who's talking and he's singing to this person.
Right.
Who is he to? In the end, those two people who may never have met before or don't necessarily know each other, they form this extremely strong bond because the first person is opening up or is
They're
admitting to.
vulnerable.
Yes, or even thinking about, why did I choose this song? Maybe they didn't choose the song for any particular reason. They just liked the song. But now they're saying, my tears are because of this. Right. And the person who is looked into the eyes, they are going to feel it. Of course, it can take a while, right, for all the trying to go through all the steps. But inevitably, those two people are going to hug. Then the people come up from the audience and everybody's hugging and everybody's crying and everybody's sharing. And
so are you getting rid of the disconnect that may occur with some performers, where they're just saying the lyrics,
right?
They're not connecting to their heart, or
yes, but I'm not even trying to say that. You asked, how can creativity heal or help depression, anxiety, or something else?
Right.
It doesn't even. We all carry something with us, feelings,
right.
emotions that may be heavy for us,
right.
that we may not even think about.
Right.
And by asking these questions, and you're in a safe environment, because that's what we create, right? We are working with people's voices and their creativity, of course, their artistry.
So part of what you teach is not only the technique, but these words you're saying, where are they coming from? And can we connect it to what we're doing?
Well, I'm not saying can we.
Yeah.
I mean, on a daily basis here in the studio, we are very geared to vocal technique.
Yeah.
But in the workshops, we don't just leave it with vocal technique. We do the whole circle to a performance.
Wow.
And a performance is not just technique, but it certainly isn't also just this or that, or clothing, or makeup, or blue hair, or cool pants, or whatever it may be. It may be all those things, but what people respond to, I believe, is authenticity. And that's a word that's thrown around. But what is that? It's when you're honest, not just with yourself, but the people around you. Because
and you're resonating to them, right?
Right. And when you allow someone else in to your heart, in this case, when somebody says, let's go to, because you brought some joy inside my tears. Why are you crying? Why do you have tears?
Right.
And my mother passed away from cancer.
Right.
And it's not so long ago, and I really miss her.
Right.
And what was your mother like? How?
Right.
When do you cry? I mean, there are so many questions you can ask, and the person will start to go in and more, and the other person will feel it. And by sharing that, it becomes sort of what they call life-changing moments, because they have now, I don't know what to call it. I guess you share it, and you have these other fellow people in the room who also cares, and you feel that love. I can't even explain it, but we've been in this over and over, and I can, even if I can't put a label on it, but that's why I called it, for a while, I called it, what I was doing here, I called it emotion singing, because it's emotion, but it's energy in motion. Your feelings, you put them out and you send them to your audience. That is emotions in motions. It's energy you send out. It's like a vehicle that reaches the other person. That other person is going to feel what you feel. Yeah. That's energy, and it's motion that is in that emotions in that motion.
With what you're talking about, I'm sure a lot of people have gone through this. One thing that has affected me, like people that have passed away that I care about, I remember when my mother died, they asked me to speak at the funeral, and I couldn't because I was so upset my throat closed up, and I asked my brother to do it. But it just stopped. And I've noticed when I listen to music and it affects me emotionally and I'm trying to sing along, same thing. So have you seen that before? And how can somebody express deep sadness or grief? And it probably sounds crazy to you and still let their voice work. How do you combine the extreme emotion with the technical part of how you're singing? Have you ever come across that before? I feel like emotion shuts me down at certain points. How can you balance the extreme emotion with being able to sing well? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, so we're actors also, right? When we sing, we're actors, and we need to use the emotion, as in we need to load our energy with the authenticity of our emotion into the words. But we also have to be good enough actors to let the audience feel it and take off some of that from us, right?
That is just hard for me to even comprehend. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
For me to be able to fathom that and execute it seems beyond.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I think it's totally okay to have tears coming, but you use technique for you being able to use your instrument. Right. But you had somebody who kept crying in some recording for a movie, right? And then you went into...
Oh, yeah, that was Evgeny. So, and Bob Fosse and I were in the control room, and he was there, and he said, Seth, go out and fix it. And I thought, oh, my God, what am I going to do? So between the drawing room and going through a couple of doors and going, and I said it was a girl that you mentioned.
Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley. I said, Shirley, you what is acting about? You're a wonderful actress. So what you do is you don't think about that. You just think the songs, and you don't, and you know. And she said, "Oh, I never did it." She went out and she did it perfectly.
Yeah. So you kind of have to compartmentalize, to a degree,
because there is to have lived through the emotions, right?
Yeah.
There is even. I think that every time you sing that song afterwards, there's a residue that you don't have to dig as deep.
Right.
Because you have already discovered it one time, so you don't have to dig as deep.
Oh, that's interesting.
And also,
and people can still relate.
Oh, absolutely, because it's still true. The emotion's still true. And somebody who was in here in the studio, not just the other day, and she had brought in a song, and rarely do we have we do all kinds of music and all songs, and we just, we're good with it. There might be all kinds of words in the song that we're like, or genre, and we're fine. This particular time, I actually felt like I needed to address the song because it was such a downer. And I asked her if she really wanted to be identified as an artist that would put out that kind of message, because the chorus was "Give me a casket to what?"
Like a lion.
The lion, yeah. It was really a downer. Now she had just sung "Gimme, Gimme, Gimme," ABBA. And I said, it's kind of the same song. It's just a different chorus. And she didn't really catch on to what I said, because she felt like it's a very happy song.
Yeah.
No. Here, hold up for a second, Seth.
That's ironic.
Mm-hmm. Like, what is it? Okay, is it? Gimme a man after midnight, right? That's the song. And it happens. So anyway, I said, Have you thought about what the lyrics are? It's 12:30, and I'm watching The Late Show in my flat, all alone. How I hate to spend the evening on my own. Autumn winds blowing outside my window as I look around the room, and it makes me so depressed to see the gloom. And you keep like, this girl is not happy, and. There's not a soul out there, no one to hear my prayer. her solution is not give me a casket that I can lay in. Her solution is give me a man after midnight. That's her solution to her depression. And it's a happy dance song, right?
Yeah.
But if you read the lyrics and you really get into it, and if somebody would do this song, I might, you could go, it's a happy song, but what happened here? She's completely alone. Why?
Yeah.
Did she find the right one, or did she break up with somebody,
There's always a story.
So anyway.
And you also, it's like I told you that there's no such thing in singing as ah.
Yeah.
That the ah becomes ah. And in that song, with a man, with a men, it's almost plural men.
Yeah.
I got to gimme, So you have to do that. And to do the kind of work that we do, you have to be able to alter foreign languages. So do you know?
Right.
Which is really, really tough. So, if, for instance,
you have to be careful.
In French, you've got un, and there's another one, but there I can't think of it right now. But you have to do all those are in one song. Dans ton cœur, dorte clair de lune, un doux clair de lune. I forget. But you say you have that U is like an umlaut. And same thing in German. Der Tag und Regen schwer und Sturm bewegt. Ich war in manch vergessenem Grab gewesen, verwittert Stein und Kreuz.
It's good, Seth. It's good.
Okay. But if you depends if you're working with opera people or you're working with
it's
musical theater people.
It doesn't or heavy metal or pop or soul.
That's right.
And you guys
it's all the same.
With the singer from Avenge Sevenfold. Is that very different because the genre is so different?
No, it's all the same. Because what is it? It's balance between chest voice and head voice, and you cannot go wide. It's like here. If you go, let's say I'm singing on an A for a woman that is right before the bridge, right. So you want to go vertical, like for instance, if I were to sing, that's vertical. Now if this is 12 o'clock, I start to tilt it. Could you hear how different that is? Yeah. Now it starts to be strained. Now you go past 3 o'clock, Seth, it's going to not like this because it hurts my voice to show it, but I don't go all the way.
Well, don't do it.
But it's you're going to hear the difference. Vertical to horizontal. When it's horizontal enough, it will crack and you will hurt yourself. And you will also, when you're somewhere at 2 o'clock, it's going to be so tiring and you're going to want to lower your keys. But right, it's terrible. But
But then how do those bands? My wife loves all the music that's like, and I'm always like, what are they talking about? I can't tell. But singers in metal bands that like that gravelly, even like the Kurt Cobain, like the
gravel is not it.
Is there a way to do that without hurting your voice?
I mean, mad gravels. It's not the gravel we're talking about. It's where it's on the vocal cords and where if you're mixing or if you're not mixing. And that's what we're talking about. The gravel can be there if you sing correctly.
You can still have the texture.
Yeah, you can. You can't. But if you're digging in chest, then you're going to hurt yourself. So it's about balancing the voice. And the thing is that it's so exciting to work with them. It's exciting to work with all singers, but it's really exciting to work with the best singers because there's nobody who's telling them why they might have a problem. And they might not say they have a problem because they don't necessarily know that there is a solution to the problem. So if if somebody says, "Oh, I have to lower my keys because whatever, for my age or whatever it may be," they say it isn't that. It's the fact that they started to say a word a little wide, and now they're not going to be able to sing up to
Doing
those
it over
pitches.
and over, they may have injured their voice. Part of the
Well,
problem.
It certainly gets started on ruining it.
yeah, but yes, but you can always, that can be
Eradicated
resurrected.
depending on whether the nodule is hard or soft.
Yeah, and if it's, I mean, there are so many of these big older stars that I would just love to work with, because they would go, "Oh my God, I can do
Let me
another."
ask you about stamina. A lot of my favorite artists, when I look and I see they do 200 shows in a row, how do they do this and still take care of their voice so there's no injury? Is that possible, or do you need to take big times of
This
rest?
helps. And you go to each one of these bridging situations and make sure that you use a mix, but not a whole thing that,
Like Matt, for instance, before he came to us, he did come
Just
with
so everybody knows, you're talking about Matt from Avenge Sevenfold.
Yes, from Avenge Sevenfold. We're with him every day, right?
Yeah.
Online, on FaceTime.
Right.
So he goes on tours, and we're with him every day. And you wouldn't have known that he had a show.
Yeah.
Because he
Really?
speaks, his voice is exactly the way, great condition.
he had one note he could sing when he came. Only one
Because
note.
he
they
had,
told him that he would never sing again.
Wow.
Well, I had another teacher he was studying with, and no wonder that happened. But the thing is that once we changed it, all of a sudden he's on the top all the time. He's up. It's wonderful. But that's singing English.
But having said that, okay, it's like any athlete, the biggest football, baseball, whatever, basketball stars, they don't not train, right? They have coaches, they work.
Yeah.
We work on, singers should work on their craft correctly. If they don't do it correctly, obviously it's not going to be good.
Okay, but that being said, let's talk about somebody like Stevie Wonder. I think he's in his 70s now. So, a fantastic singer, one of the best. And as he gets older, or anyone else like him, or like I love Peter Gabriel, somebody like that in the same age, do they need to change how they take care of their voice as they get older, or is it the same basic principle they need to do on a daily basis?
No, the basic principle is they need to use their voice in the correct manner, and if they don't, they're going to have to pay a price like everybody else.
Right.
And if they do it correctly, they can keep going forever.
Tenors can sing. I think you spoke about the gentleman.
No, but he's talked about
knee flat above. I see.
You talked about as MacLaine was mentioning Stevie. Now Stevie sings in mix all the time, and he also sings all the time.
Yeah.
You get on the phone with him, and he sings. He's not going to not sing.
He's like you. He just grew up singing all the time.
Well, I mean, he does sing. You get on the phone with him. There is not a phone call ever that he hasn't sung at some part, if it's even just a talk call.
I love it.
So he sings all the time, and he plays music all the time. But the point is still, if it were to be done wrong, then you pay a price. And even the best singers make mistakes at times. That's why I said there are superstars that I would love to work with that we have not worked with, who I feel, wow, they don't know that it's so easy to fix.
Is it frustrating when you guys sit down and watch a live show on TV? Who knows if it's live? Is it frustrating and go, oh, I wish I could help them. I know what the problem is. Do you ever feel like that?
Oh, we saw Celine Dion's documentary a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And of course, it's a given we feel with her, right? In what she's gone through.
Right.
But then she gives an example of how it has affected her voice, and she doesn't sing right.
Yeah.
And Seth and I go, what? That is, she doesn't sing right. We can fix this easily.
Yeah.
And we would love to help her fix that, because if she actually believes that is, I mean, we obviously don't know the illness, but the way she sang was not correct.
That's right.
She will never be able to hit those notes the way she sang.
And that was just, I mean, that was at least part of the problem. Like you're saying, you don't know the details, what's going on in her life. However, you know that you could help her.
Absolutely.
Vocally, it was
come back to where she wants to be.
You know,
no
there was
problem.
a girl
There would be no
that was
problem.
doing Nothing Compares.
Sinead
So-
O'Connor.
So I changed it. No, not nothing, but nothing. Nothing compare, but not pair, but it appears, you know. Oh, that's so much easier. And she was in her little thing that they gave her to work in. So
For an award
then I
show,
have to go.
awards or dressing room.
I have to go with who?
Madonna.
Madonna. So she's a big trot of this great long high thing that's just very, very high.
On her head.
Yeah, on her head. And so she said,
She saw the monitor. She saw Sinead O'Connor on the
and
monitor.
she said, that bitch can't sing. You don't work with her, do you? I said, no.
But here's the thing. Okay, so if the singer doesn't understand, you could just try this out yourself. If you say nothing with an ah, no, and people will, because they think that they're going to get to the high notes with an ah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's going to hurt your throat. And if you say nothing compared, that's horrible. You can just hear how terrible that is. And I already feel it in my throat just by showing you. But nothing compares. Now, ooh, that was so much easier. And I don't know what the key is in. Nothing compares. Nothing compares. Now, if you went to a C sharp with nah, you would not make it. It would crack. You'd go flat, or you get nodules.
Yeah.
One of the three things. There is no way to sing with an ah up on that C sharp,
That's
and people do,
fascinating.
and people do this all the time. And here's what really, if something is well, we get very passionate about people that we admire as artists who may be the ones who've been around for a very long time to some who have not been around for as long a time, but they're great artists, like Celine Dion, for instance, or Adele for that matter. It would be so easy to help them with that little thing. And they can, and though they are enjoying big stardom and their fans are, I guarantee that there are moments in their private lives when they are sad about them being hoarse or them having vocal trouble. But it's not necessarily anything they will sit and share. But I know it because I can hear what they do. And I know how to figure.
They don't tour anymore.
Oh, but we don't know that. But it would be so easy for us to help them, and they would just have. Yeah. It would be a completely different thing for them. And so that's something we have a lot of passion for. Frustration, on the other hand, is when we hear some TV show and it's obvious that it is tuned because the way that the vowel or the somebody singing it doesn't fit the pitch. Now, how can I prove, that's tuned? Because the way... If this was tuned...
Auto-tune?
Yeah, well, tuned or melodyne, whatever it is...
Right.
They have lifted up the pitch to the right pitch because the singer went too wide on the vowel. That means they've brought up chest voice too far, and there's a point where it doesn't fit into the channel, and it will never get to that pitch. So it is tuned up in post, right? And I hear it. But how can you say, I know for sure that person was flat? They will never say, yes, I was. Of course they're not going to. And the fans, they go, it was great. Well, it was great. It was great. We all want to sound great. Everybody wants to sound great. And in today's world, everybody makes sure that they sound and look great because there's nothing else that is acceptable. So then it comes back to, do we feel great as artists? Can we express ourselves really well when we actually struggle with our voices? You were mentioning us about somebody who had to sing in different voices. And of course, we hear this all the time. Somebody who sings, for example, when Brian Wilson or when the Beach Boys were celebrated by the Grammys, we were at the theater. The televised Grammy salute to the Beach Boys. And and other artists were doing Beach Boys songs, right? And it was great. It was a super show. John Legend sang God Only Knows, right? Was it? He goes into falsetto when he sings, right?
Right.
God only knows what I'd be without you, right? What I'd be. I think that's what he was singing. And he sang it in falsetto. Brian at 80, 81, he doesn't. Why? Because we're on his case, right?
Right.
Now, he would sometimes just not sing the note because Brian was Brian, so he was a very different person.
Right.
But we worked with him so that he would be able to do everything. He went way down here. He would sometimes choose not to sing the low notes in good vibration. I would say, Brian, you got to sing the low notes because nobody else can go down here.
Yeah.
You got to sing it, and lower your larynx, pull in your stomach. And he would say, I'm trying. But he could do it, right? He could also go up here. Actually, sometimes he would choose not to. That was Brian Wilson. But he was the kindest, most dear person. We just loved him.
Yeah.
And he could certainly sing the A flat in mix, which sounds like one voice.
Right.
In this particular case,
The people
when
who set the things
John,
up didn't pay any attention. They just tried to let him do what he usually did, which was wrong.
Right.
I was thinking of that when John Legend was singing. It was great. I mean, it was great in in so many ways. But Seth and I will say, he flipped into falsetto.
Right.
That means he doesn't know how to mix.
You
that
guys
means
see
that he doesn't.
You see the potential. You see that it could be greater than it.
Yeah.
Well, because because it's kind of a sign of everybody who flips into falsetto. Falsetto is a very weak sound.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really sound
Although
great.
Prince's falsetto always blows me away, probably more than anybody. But you said when you worked with him, that was not.
He just doesn't want to do it. He won't do it. I keep trying to talk him into it. He wouldn't do it.
Wow.
His backup would do some of that, but he absolutely said no. As a matter of fact, one night he came over to see Michael, and they were discussing what changes they want to make in their recordings. And so they said, "Oh, well, that's wonderful. We decided to do this, do that," and then they broke up. So they come in the next day, and they make their recording, and Prince says, "Here it is," and he gave him with a naked woman facing him, and he has a bow. He's bow. And Michael said, "Oh my God, that's not what we spoke about."
Right.
At all.
They had very different worldviews. Well, let me ask you about a trend I've noticed. The best example I can think of is Billie Eilish. It seems to me like she sings very quietly. So do you know what I mean? A lot of the young women that I'm hearing, it seems like they're very close, they're very breathy. And how does that work when they go to play live? How do they project? It must be difficult.
So until Birds of a Feather, which I really like that song, and I think she does a great job on it too. Up until then, I just said, do not listen to Billie Eilish because that will destroy your voice. She sings like she's sung in choir. I'm sorry to put that down. Seth and I both grew up singing choirs. Singing in choirs that will just be falsetto. It's just disconnected head voice.
So
anyway, that's what she sounds like.
Did you notice a change with Birds of a Feather?
Yes, but how do we know that isn't manipulated in recording? But yes, it does sound like she has started to
project even more, yeah.
So it's not projection, it's mix. If you sing correctly, I think that's a great song, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think she sings it well. But then somebody sent me a clip from a live, and it certainly didn't sound that way in the live recording. So that would be a person I would love to help because obviously she's a great artist. They are, her brother and her.
Phineas and
They're
incredible.
great. And why she sings like that, it must be so frustrating.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how because she must be so tired. You can't, she couldn't possibly record a song from beginning. I mean, I don't know how could she do it. I don't know how she could do it.
Well, back to what I said, it does sound to me very hopeful what you guys offer, because I grew up listening to, somebody like Lou Reed from the Velvet Underground, and then people would say, oh, he only has 3 notes, or, someone like Bob Dylan. But it sounds to me like whoever the singer is, whatever their style, whatever their experience, you can help them expand that and take care of themselves better.
Yeah. I worked with Ozzy Osborne, and
oh, that's right.
Yeah, he went. I wanted to show you a thing that he left me.
Yeah,
and what he signed on it.
Yeah, and why did he come to you? What did he want to work on?
Well, it's the same thing.
That's a very interesting question, because we get that. Why would these people come and take voice lessons? And then I'm thinking, wow, that's a very strange question. Of course they come to take voice lessons. Of course they should come here.
Well, I think it's important what you're saying, because I'm a drummer, and the drummer for the band Rush, Neil Peart, a lot of people thought he was the best drummer ever. However, the last parts of his life, he took drum lessons. He wanted to expand. He wanted to play better. He wanted to find more possibilities. So you're doing the same thing. You might get a Stevie Wonder or Prince or Michael Jackson, who many people may think is the best singer on the planet. Why would they need help?
But that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
They need help. First of all, they may not start with thinking, oh, I need help. Okay, if you're a professional, you will need to train your voice.
And take care
Otherwise, you're not going to sound like a pro if you're not trained.
And constantly learning, I think, would be great too.
When I first went to New York from Maryland, I didn't know anybody. I came absolutely cold with a little bit of money in my pocket. So I would work on one, then I would go to the Seventh-day Adventists on Saturday, and with the Jews on Friday, and so on. And I would always sit next to, in the chorus, I would sit next to Van Cliburn, because he marvelous pianist, and
absolutely
he would sing. He sight read very, very well, so I'd always sing. And I said, "Don't stop, I'm listening to you." So he says, "I want to show you something." I said, "What?" "Come on." So we go downstairs, and there's an old dusty piano down there. He says, "I want you to tell me what I'm doing wrong." So he starts to do, and I'm saying, "I'm not going to criticize you." And he says, "Let me do it again." So he does it again. I said, "Van, you're wonderful." And I said, "You've got a solo to Juilliard with Rosa Levine. Come on, ready." I don't ask me that. I love you, but
yeah,
he's 6'4". An octave is not always 10 notes.
Right.
So anyhow, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to a competition." I said, "Well, good luck," because I told him, I said, "When you are playing this, you don't you go. It doesn't say that you're loud here and then you diminuendo. So I thought, if I don't say something, So he said, "I think I've got it." He says, "I'm going to give it 2 more hours. I'm already working 5-6 hours a day." So he did this for me. So the next time I see him, he's doing that, dropping things out, and he's won the Tchaikovsky contest. And, and I waited till the things had cooled off, and I went up to it, and I said, "I'd like to see Mr. Van Cliburn." "Okay, fine." She phoned up. Send him up. So I went up, and so he opens the door, and he takes me by the hand. I'm the one. And then he pulled me in, And I said, who are you afraid of? He says, anybody. He said, I can only play Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Margaret and I went out in Santa Monica to their piano thing. And they have it, the whole thing is filmed. And so it came up on the thing, and we're watching. And it's like he would never play, and sometimes he would stay with his eyes closed. And so it camera panned over to see the people, and the Russians went. They were so amazed that he never missed.
Yeah.
And 6'4".
Yeah.
I mean, he was something else. And so he died at 65. He went much too early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delightful young man.
So I want to go back to why would they come to us?
Right.
Pavarotti has famously said, if he doesn't vocalize for 3 days, his voice was gone. Why do big stars come to us and have for decades? It would be the same as asking, why would a basketball star have a coach?
Yeah.
And you would never ask that question because you take for granted that they would be coaching, have a coach, and they would train every day, right? So that's the same with singers and musicians. We have to practice, right? We have to practice, or we have to play to keep up. We have to sing because this is our instrument. So we have to balance the voice every day. And even when people sing really well, are really good at what they do, they sometimes don't recognize when they go too wide, for instance.
Right. And getting the perspective from you, right?
Right, because even when we perform, when I perform and I listen back, I might have been in the moment and thought, I'm going to do a little more. And that it's great to do that because, of course, we work with people all the time. And I'm like, you can't even for a moment think, oh, but I'm just going to do a little more because that is going to add so much more to it. No, it takes away.
Yeah.
If you take that extra little thing with a little extra weight and a little extra whatever, you actually make it less good. And it takes a toll.
Within the parameters to take care of yourself.
Right. And so we hear people that we work with, people we don't work with, people we work with at times and are gone at times and come back. They aren't completely dialed in where too heavy or too wide and where it is a good place to be, as in
It must be challenging for them when you're there in front of a big crowd and your adrenaline's going. Say,
well, yes, it's exactly right.
Do what Seth and Margareta told me.
Yeah,
they might forget about that for a minute.
But that's a very, very good comment, because when you have 100,000 people in front of you, this is a talk we have at times. Tomorrow, when you have 100,000 people in front of you, this is going to happen. You're going to have all this energy. You're going to be amped up, and you still need to. We had an email from another heavy metal guy.
Oh yeah.
He sent us a recording. He felt he was the proudest of. He had a long career. He has already a long career. He was the proudest of the recording, and he had been on tour, and he said he had thought of us every single time he went out on stage, and it was really great. It was such a wonderful, heartfelt email he sent with so much gratitude.
Yeah.
And it makes us feel so good when somebody has been able to take what we
and apply it,
give, and say, I think of you guys all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Because we don't necessarily think that they do. But it's helping them.
But a confirmation that what you're doing is working, making a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be really gratifying. When we were talking about, how has creativity helped you in difficult times or people you knew, I read the story about when you were younger, if you can expound upon it. Red Cross Christmas party with your mom? who was a nurse?
Mm-hmm.
Something, can you tell everybody about that experience?
I just remember the Red Cross Christmas party that I sang at, which was my first public performance.
And you were 5 years old?
I was 5 years old, and my mother played the guitar. And around the same time, she also brought me to the hospital, and she was in where there were people who were
suffering,
really in bad shape.
Yeah.
But the connection that what that did to sing and have the feeling that it's not the attention, it's a different feeling. It's the fact that you connect with people. Yeah. And I was so little and I felt that. That's
at that early age you realized that and you were aware of it.
Yes. And I think that has always really been my passion. When I've said I've always said I want to be on stage. I want to be an artist. I want to be on stage.
Right.
It has always been to make that connection happen, to feel the audience, to be able to give that to each and every person, and then that comes back. Yeah. I'm not so much about, there are certain art forms where you're supposed to just go and admire the sound.
Right.
I am really about connecting with people, because that energy that you are actually able to give to people when you're on stage, that's a huge gift to be able to give that. And I've played a lot of piano singer gigs, best places and the worst and everything in between, or in a lot of different, countries. And I feel it's kind of everywhere it's the same. What people need is to be heard and be seen and feel included. And it doesn't really matter if it's a rock and roll bar in the outskirts of Norway, or if it's the poshest place in Beverly Hills or in Stockholm or wherever it may be. I'm at the end of the table when I sit at the piano, and people walk in and they look at me because I'm the one who's singing and playing. Right. And I say, "Hi, come sit with me." And they come sit with me. There might be 8 other people there. I say, and I start to say, "Hey, where are you from?" And then I can start to connect the people. And all of a sudden there are 20 people, and then there are 50 people, and all of a sudden it might be depending on where I am, right? The connection that I can make between people so that they can feel heard and seen and included, I think is like the biggest gift.
Even if they don't speak the same language. I mean, back to Stevie Wonder is talking about how music is a language.
Yes.
And it reaches everybody. You guys go to Indonesia or Jakarta, you can still get through to them, even though you might not know each and every word for each other's language.
No, it's very universal.
Sometimes, we used to sing aboard ship. She did so well as doing that, and I'm sitting there with our little girl, and people would listen to her, and then they go out, and then they come back and bring in chairs. Well, there were no chairs; they had to go to another deck to get them, because she would let this wonderful attitude that she just explained to you come out, and they were really,
I think because you sing from the heart, that attracts people. It's sincere.
It's the music. I feel like the music is a vehicle, actually, and knowing in these particular kinds of gigs, songs just come like, this is the song that works for this moment right now, right? And if you do a show from a stage, it's different, because you have already planned what you're going to say and what you're going to sing and what's going to happen.
Right.
But I feel like the most important thing, the reason for the show or for a gig or whatever it may be, for me, is to make each person who is there heard and seen and feel included and loved. And that may just sound very mushy, but I feel like that energy that comes from me looking and smiling and including that person and saying, what would you like to hear? And they get to say what they want to hear. Or, hey, where are you from? You're from New York? Oh, this person is from New York. Oh, I used to live in New York. All of a sudden, 3 people can ship in and say something.
Sometimes they chime in with you and sing with you.
It's very interactive.
And it's it's important. I think that's what we all really need. That's what every single person.
Especially now in the world where things aren't exactly in the best place they've ever
Yeah.
been.
True.
I think it's very important. What
But
you
I
do
think
there.
it's a need. It's like
It ain't
we need
kosher.
to eat and we need to be able to, water and food and sleep. But then we need to feel heard and seen and be somebody.
Absolutely agree. Now, I'd like to help you guys out. So if people are interested in your services, what's the main website that brings, I know that you have separate ones and you have one that's in Swedish and English, but what is the main website to go to find out about what you guys do together?
Oh, the main website for us is The Riggs Vocal Studio, THE, The Riggs, RIGGS, vocalstudio.com.
Okay. And social media, you're on Facebook and Instagram, right?
So when it comes to social media, then we are not as good at that. But yes, I have
You're on there, though. I see what
I
you
have
get.
Facebook and I have Instagram as Margareta Svensson Riggs. Seth has Facebook for Seth Riggs. Yeah.
Right. And I like that you have the Linktree thing because that went out to everything.
Oh yeah, it is
Right.
good, isn't it?
So how can people just search for you on Linktree?
The best, if you search for Seth Riggs, you'll end up on our website. If you go to the Riggs Vocal Studio, you end up on our website.
Yeah.
If you search my name, you will get to either my artist page or our vocal studio.
And I was listening
page.
to you on Spotify on the way here. I like your Holly Weird.
Oh, thank
For
you.
somebody that's been here for 13 years, spot on. A little tongue in cheek, but a lot of truth in there.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
the
well,
way
I just
some
want to
people
say
can
that
be.
you guys are amazing. So even if you don't live in Los Angeles, it is worth flying out here and hanging out with these guys. You guys really know what you're doing, and you're hopeful and you're positive. And when I read the news and it's negative, I love coming here.
Well, I'm so
I'm a little
glad.
happier to be alive today.
Well, I
Thank
hope you
you.
will again.
Thank you.
I'm trying.
I would love to. I didn't even get through half my questions. I would love to do this again with you guys. If that would be
Sure.
okay.
You only got through half the questions.
Yeah. Oh, I had so much fun. We just went on. You warned me about tangents, but we had fun.
You're supposed to have something to eat.
I
Oh
will.
my
I'm
God.
gonna grab something to eat before I go. Do you guys have any events coming up? Do you have any public events? Or are you going to perform? Or
No, not that. So off the record, maybe then. What we want to do is show and masterclass, and we're on our way to do that.
you said masterclass?
Yes, so we would like to do a stage show, and then maybe the next day have a masterclass. Where in New York are you from again?
Rochester.
Rochester. There's a theater in Rochester. Hey, do you want to come and perform in our Rochester theater? And we would love to have you do a masterclass the day after. Yes, we would love to do that. Or vice versa. We'll do a masterclass first, and then we can take 10 people, and they can all sing a
Eastman
song.
School of Music, one of the best music schools in the world. Eastman School of Music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting if we were to do a masterclass on a Saturday afternoon, let's say, and there can be a limited people as auditors, like part of it, and then there can be active people.
Yeah.
Or we can have active people, 50 to 100. I mean, we have done, I don't know how many people we have had when everybody's sort of participating, and then we grab a few people who are volunteers
Yeah.
who say, hey, come on up and try it out. Then, but if we have 10 people, 20 people, or active, as in they know beforehand that we're going to work specifically with them on stage, then in the show the next day we could do a number or two where we include those who just learned in our stage show.
Yeah.
Because I would love to get back to doing some of that. We work here all the time, every day. That's why it's been hard to book something, because I have to block out half a day. But yes, that's what we do.
Margareta and Seth, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I cannot wait to meet with you guys again and learn even more. You guys are amazing. Thank you for uplifting my spirit.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
We feel uplifted too.
Yeah.
Can we pick my favorite Frank Sinatra song?
Oh, that's probably okay. Let's try
It's
it.
called The Coffee Song.
The coffee song.
I'm a big fan of espresso and coffee.
Okay.
I am too. It's not good for me. We don't allow no smoking, no
Way down
alcohol,
among
and
Brazilians.
no dope.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Coffee beans grow by the billions, so they've got to find those extra cups to fill. They've got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil. You can't get cherry soda because they've got to fill that quota. And the way things are, I'll bet they never will. They've got a zillion tons of coffee in Brazil.
What were you
Sorry.
going to add? Seth?
On Broadway's true. I can get it for you wholesale. He has a song in there that's just a showstopper called "My Coffee Break."
I wanted to say,
something. He says, "I coffee break, my coffee break, where somebody else makes me joy." And boy, the audience just
Yeah.